Bridging the link between academia, government, and business is a smart approach to effective partnerships, and UBC understands the importance of that. Dr. Jennifer Tedman Jones has made her way to the Okanagan from Waterloo, Ontario, to continue her role as a business developer with Mytacs. What that means to our region and UBC in the Okanagan made for good conversation here on UBC's Next Big Thing. Jennifer, let me first welcome you to the Okanagan. It's nice to have you here. How are you finding it so far?
I love it. I'm really happy to be here.
When we talk about Mytacs, what is this entity or this organization?
Mytax is a private, not-for-profit organization. We have been around for 15 years. We deliver a number of research and training programs across Canada. Our mandate is Canada's innovation agenda, and the way we approach that is through partnerships.
Canada's innovation agenda. What is that exactly? I'm not familiar with that.
Canada so far has ranked actually quite poorly compared with other countries in terms of innovation. And one of the ways we see forward is for Canadian companies to be partnering with our universities. And we have some terrific universities in Canada. We're very strong in research. So all of the ingredients are there. I think they just need to be mixed together.
How do we involve the universities in this initiative?
That's where my role comes in. So that's why I was brought on campus, is basically to go out and about meeting with community partners, meeting with industry, finding out what their needs are, and basically being a professional matchmaker and bringing them back to the university and identifying faculty for whom there's an alignment with their research.
So what is the connection then? You bring them together, you find appropriate links between somebody doing research and the business or the organization that could utilize that research. And then what happens?
Basically, we start the conversation. It's always exploratory. So I usually get the company to jot down what their current need is. So there's a description of their product and where they want to go. And basically, I bring it back to faculty and ask them if they want to have a conversation.
What is the next step for them? What is the preferred outcome from these conversations?
So that's leading up to partnerships programs. Our flagship one, of course, being Mytax Accelerate, where if there's a fit between a company partner and a faculty member, then there's a graduate student or postdoc who's center to this partnership, who's at the core of this partnership, who spends part of their time at the company and part of their time at the university. And it's through this model that we're hoping to ensure a natural exchange of knowledge with the goal of inspiring a long-term mutually beneficial partnership.
You talked about one particular program, but I know that Mytax has 4 programs. Can you talk about each of them and how they relate to our business community and government?
All of these programs are complementary to the goals of Mytax in terms of building innovation in Canada. And our mandate is very much attract, train, retain, and deploy. So all of these other programs speak to that. The first one being Mytax Global Link. So the Mytax Global Link program is about creating international connections for faculty at universities. And basically we bring over top undergraduate students from various countries that we have partnerships with to spend part of their time at the university with the hopes that they come back for graduate studies. So basically building that talent pipeline, and that leading into Accelerate and Elevate, which are the industry academic partnerships programs, which can be anything from a small project with a single graduate student to multi-year, multi-faculty collaborations with a number of graduate students. And complementary to that are the Mytax STEP programs, which are professional skills training programs.
This has been going on for a long time. Maybe you can tell me a little bit of the history of Mytax, maybe how it got started and where it's gone over the last many years?
Mytax started off as an NCE in 1999.
An NCE is?
Is a National Center of Excellence. It was primarily focused on mathematics. In 2003 saw the very start of the Mytax Accelerate program. So this is where Mytax was getting into industry academic partnerships. And this is the way Mytax works. We work with our partners, we listen to what they want, we try something out. If it works, we take those outcomes, we go back to the government and we say, do you want to partner on this? And those programs grow and grow. In 2006, I believe, we expanded from mathematics and computer sciences to all disciplines.
So how many students have been involved with the Mytax programs?
For Mytax Accelerate, there have been almost 10,000 internships.
Oh my goodness. And these students have come from where and are all over the world?
Basically, Mytax Accelerate is open to any graduate student who's enrolled at a Canadian university. So that includes international students from all disciplines, from philosophy students to engineers.
And do you have any idea how many of them have been UBC students?
It's in the hundreds. And UBC actually had the highest number of projects last year.
You're going to be the partner that gets people within the community, businesses within the community, government players, and bring them together for the conversation. But where else can ideas come from? I mean, do you hear it from faculty and staff, or is it the businesses? Like, where can the ideas come from?
That's the beauty of the model, is that those ideas can come from anybody and everybody. They can come together in all kinds of creative ways. Faculty can use the program to reach out to industry, and the most exciting projects, though, are the student-driven projects.
How important is it to a student that's, you know, either an undergrad or, you know, somebody who's even coming back for their master's or going after their PhD, to have these kinds of experiences and to be involved in working with businesses and organizations? How important is it for their education and just their future?
Based on my own experiences, it's incredibly important for a number of reasons. So whereas academia, I have a mixed background. So my roots are in academia. I have a PhD in plant molecular biology, but I've spent some time working with industry, Roche Diagnostics, in client support. And through my graduate degree, I found that I developed the skills of, you know, observing, critical thinking, questioning. But business taught me to listen. It taught me to be empathetic. It taught me to be adaptive. And out of those two experiences, I discovered that I loved networking. I loved the people and ideas of academia, and I loved the rhythm of business. Kind of reflecting back, I really thought that, you know, the goal is really to get as many different experiences as possible. Find out what you're passionate about, develop your skill set, and that is your best hope forward after life after graduation.
For students, it actually bridges the gap between education and, you know, the real world. But to be able to apply what you've been trained in, what you've been learning about, what you've been researching in, you know, a real life situation is just, it's so invaluable and just so rewarding for the student, but it's also extremely rewarding for the business player. What do they benefit? If we've got businesses out there watching this, or somebody who has an idea, or a corporation that's been, you know, doing research and development, what is the benefit for them to be connecting with you?
You're always taking a leap of faith whenever you're working with somebody that you've never worked with before. And following up with the companies that have worked with our graduate students is always very exciting to find out how the project's coming together. And typically I join in to progress meetings, so everybody meets every month to make sure everything's on track. And it's always great to see the reactions of the faculty. Sometimes I'm bringing together very unique combination. So an engineer and a businessman with an English student. And they can't even conceive of, you know, there's some idea of what they're going to get out of it, but then following up with them is really exciting because they've seen this entirely new way of thinking. And that's all the way around the table, and that's what's exciting to see.
Have you got any examples that you can give us of some real success stories?
There's a philosophy student who is studying the theories of emergence, and I mean, if you'd come to me and said, well, what might be an industry partner, I wouldn't have known where to begin, but she did, and she started reaching out to museums, and in the end she found an architectural firm. They were doing very avant-garde architecture, and this was a perfect application of her research. This particular project just completed, and it was very well received by the philosophy community at a recent conference. So it's pretty exciting.
For the student, what foundation did that lay for them to move forward with their research and just their education and where they wanted to go with their future?
That's the interesting part too, and Mytax does a lot of longitudinal surveys, kind of finding out where are they now. And I've reached out to a number of students where they've really enjoyed the program, they've really learned a lot. We did a longitudinal survey and found that 46% of the students who are working in private industry now met that partner through the Mytax Accelerator program.
That's a big percentage. So what's your hope for the Okanagan? You're obviously already out there making those connections. What's your hope?
The Okanagan campus is very aware of its strengths. They're aware that they have, you know, a very wide variety of disciplines, but that it's a small enough university that everybody talks to each other. So the opportunity for cross-collaboration is incredible. And it's the same with industry. So I'm meeting with community partners, I'm meeting with industry partners. They're very keen to lower those barriers, to engage the university, to start those conversations. It's that willingness, it's that excitement that's what really drives these types of initiatives. So I'm very optimistic.
So you're one of many business developers across Canada. How is that going? How is that changing?
The team just keeps growing. It's a fantastic, dynamic team. We help each other all the time. We cheer each other on all the time. It's great.
Well, and that tells you how important business development is to Canada. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us and filling us in on Mytax here in the Okanagan and a little bit about what you do.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that wraps it up for this week's version of UBC's Next Big Thing. I'm Rosemary Jean Thompson, and make it a great week.